We're catching up here with Jake Ellenberger, who's scheduled a fight in Montreal on March 16th at UFC 158. First of all, Jake, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Just got some training done, so feel good. Feel ready.
So there's been a change in your opponent. Can you kind of walk us through how you heard about the change?
Yesterday I found out I had my phone started blowing up and didn't really realize what was going on. I figured something had happened, and then my manager told me about the change. So, I've been, it's one of those things. It happens. I figured, okay, somebody got hurt or Johnny got hurt and whatever, but that wasn't the case. He took the back door and he rather would not fight me, so he'd rather fight Condit. I mean, it's. I would, in a respectful way, it's a less dangerous fight for him, So it is what it is. That's what the boss said. So we're gonna do what we can.
Okay, and we're about 3.5 weeks out at this point. How difficult have you gotten with your coaches? Is there going to be a lot of changes that you have to make for your new opponent, or how are you guys working that out?
Not really. A lot of my training, my training's been. Actually, most of it's been done, to be honest. Little things as far as adjusting your strategy a little bit, but not much. I mean, a lot of my technique and things that I've been getting better at has been the same. So, kind of tweaking just some small things for the new opponent. But I mean, as far as my strategy and game plan, it's going to be similar to the original one. So, like I said, this camp has gone fantastic. I have no injuries. I feel good. So, for me. When you get to a point where you feel like if you're one of the best in the world at your weight class, then you really should have a choice who you fight, and that's where we are. That's where I am now. So it really anybody Marquardt is my new opponent. That was the first guy they gave to me, and I said whoever they want to give me, I gotta prove that I'm the best in the weight class. So. With Nate's he's a well-rounded guy. I don't see any holes anywhere. He's pretty well-rounded. He does like to move forward a lot. I don't see him moving a lot of angles. But like I said, I don't see any weak areas. The fight. I think the fight eventually will go to the ground at some point with me on top, because that's when I choose to take him down. But he's a good striker too. So, but I've been prepared for that. I'm looking forward to this fight specifically. It's a fun fight. I mean. It's a good matchup, but like I said, I've seen him fight some friends of mine at middleweight, and I've been a fan of his for a while. So, but we can be friends after the fight, so I don't see myself leaving without my hand being raised.
And now, obviously, some hard feelings towards Hendricks right now. How difficult do you think it's going to be once you guys get up there and kind of in the same area? Do you think you'll be able to put those feelings past you, or can you translate those into your new opponent?
Well, me and Johnny we'll meet. We'll eventually meet. We'll meet at some point. You know what I mean? He's done well. I would say he's had I'd like to call the perfect storm, where he's won some extremely close fights that could have gone either way. And he's obviously knocked a few guys out too. So for him, it's been the perfect storm. I wouldn't. Here's my argument, and I'm going to choose my words carefully, but. He is the number one contender. I'm not arguing that at all. I believe he is the number one contender, but I think if you're in that position, that you don't have a choice of who you fight. And for him to go to Dana and say, "Hey, I want to fight Carlos Condit," that's like, really? I've been training specifically for Johnny Hendricks for 8 weeks. Flying people in from all over the country in specific training partners and coaches. So it's like it's frustrating on my part, but. It offends me that he did that. So I know we're going to meet eventually at some point. I mean, whether he wins the title or not, I'm sure we'll still meet. But yeah, I think I know his style, and I haven't figured out. So he, in his mind, he probably wanted to take a less dangerous fight.
And I know you shouldn't look past Marquardt here, but what do you see for yourself here in 2013 after this fight?
I don't know, to be honest. Really, I focus on one fight at a time. It's kind of what I've done my whole career. I'm not looking past Nate at all. He's a tough fight. He's a tough fight. He's a tough fight for anybody. I mean, he's the Strikeforce champ, former middleweight contender. He fought for the title in the UFC at 185, and fought a few of my friends, at middleweight. So him dropping a weight class, I know him. I know what he does well, and I know some of his weaknesses. So for me, I really got to focus on what I can do and what I got to do in this fight, and not looking past that at all. So really, the farthest I've been looking is March 16th.
Okay. Any special preparations? I know Canada's not that far away, but it's literally on the other side of the continent for us here in North America. Any special preparations you do for that kind of fight?
Not necessarily. I grew up in Nebraska. I'm from the Midwest, and I'm used to the cold weather. It's not my. I try to get away from it coming to California, but it looks like we're going back to it in Montreal. But no, I'm a big fan of Canada. I like. I'm also an ambassador for Vega. It's a nutrition company, and they're based out of Canada. And so, I got a lot of friends and a lot of people that I work with a lot in Canada. So. It's going to be a big card too. We got some of Canada's finest on the card as well. So it's going to be a good show. I'm just excited to get in there. Really prove that I can win this belt. So my job is to fight. That's all I know. I've never picked a fight in the UFC. I've never chose who I got to fight. So they give me a name and I ask them the date. So.
It seems like that's been happening more and more, even before the ranking systems. Looks like you want to shy away from that. You don't want to get into that kind of banter back and forth of picking your guy.
No, it's situational. I mean, once you get into the top 5, top 10 guys in the world, you shouldn't have a choice who you fight. You know what I mean? Like, especially if you're the champ or the number 1 contender. You're arguably the best guy in the world, and that's where you really got to, take who they give you and prove that you should be there. You know what I mean? So I know if I was the champ right now, I would not be calling or picking who I fight. I'd be fighting whoever they told me, because I am the champion. That's what the champion does. But I'm not there yet, unfortunately. So for me, I got to take it one fight at a time, and so it starts with Nate Marquardt on March 16th.
Speaking of the new UFC rankings, any thoughts on that?
I haven't seen him yet, actually. I've heard about him. I think it's a good idea. I mean, everyone likes to put a lot of, kind of a structure in the system, but with how the sport is too, and it's an extremely unpredictable sport, and I think people like to put a lot of logic and reasoning into a cage fight, and it doesn't really make sense to me because anything can happen. You know what I mean? I've when I fought Martin Kampmann too, I dropped him in the first round. It was close to being stopped, but it wasn't. And he dropped me, and they stopped the fight. So that's just the business. You know what I mean? He got the win that night, and people would like to make logical sense since Johnny knocked out Kampmann that he would knock me out, which is not the case. Johnny took a fight with Carlos Condit and not me, which we were scheduled to fight. So it just goes back to the fact that why. I'm not arguing he's not the number 1 contender, but why, you have a date and you have a person set. It's just like, it's not very professional to do. So it's frustrating for me, but, eventually we'll meet. But I think the rank structure is a great idea. I really do.
On the 158 card, there are some fights in there from your division. Do you think that's a plus or minus, having that many fights in one event? I mean, is it a plus that you can see maybe possibly who you can match up against next, or does it kind of distract you having I want to see what that guy's doing or this guy?
No, I don't really pay a lot of attention to that, especially on fight night. I'm so focused on myself and what I'm going to do. The card does happen to have a lot of welterweights. I mean, it could be a complete welterweight card, and I really wouldn't pay much attention to it, to be honest. But obviously I'll record the show and I'll go back and watch it after I get home. But just stay focused on my fight. My one competition. So really, that's all that matters. And like I said, I don't look past anybody. And I mean, you got some of the top guys in the division on the card. So it'll be hard not to want to watch them and see what they're doing. But I'll be curious to see who wins. There's a couple good fights. Also the title fight with GSP. So we'll see how that goes.
Great. Well, we thank you for your time. Any shout outs you want to give
No, I want to thank Lunar Pages for sponsoring me, as well as Team Vega and the Virus. Actually, it's the gear I'm wearing right now, the Virus gear.